What's up, guys? And this is Rob TD
and Will Higley,
and welcome to the Tricast Experience.
Today we're going to be talking about some really cool new social media tactics that you can implement into your personal brand. So let's hit the first one on our list, ghost tags. Now, Rob, what is a ghost tag? Because I have no idea what this is.
So a ghost tag is a way for you to grow your discovery metrics within your stories. So before this, the only way to actually utilize hashtag kind of growth hacks would be through the feed, right?
Okay.
So this way you do get picked up by the hashtag story metrics, right? So the way to do this is within your text, don't do any of the tappable stuff, but actually type in hashtag and then whatever, like IG good or whatever you want to use.
Yeah, for sure.
Then use the ink dropper tool to change the color of the text to the same color as the background. Then when you exit out of the typing area, like you can drag that into the background so it disappears.
Okay. So you basically have invisible hashtags on your stories that are still getting picked up by these metrics, but it isn't compromising the look of how your stories look.
Exactly. So you can balance both the aesthetics while also dropping 30 hashtags within like the relevant industry hashtags that you want to appeal to.
That is so awesome. And I've never seen this done anywhere. It's probably because it's invisible.
Well, that's one really big thing, but at the end of the day, I think most people use stories as this really fast way to get up quick impromptu content.
Yeah.
And this is a way to kind of balance it with the curation ability we have on feed photos.
Okay. That's really, really cool. That is awesome. So I hope to see, or not see, all of you guys implementing ghost tags here in your stories in the near future. Because that is so awesome, man.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Definitely been seeing a lot of more positive results. Like my audience and viewers that I've been seeing on my stories has definitely jumped up.
That's awesome. That's crazy, man. Another thing that I wanted to talk about, kind of also on stories, is the swipe up feature, right? So the swipe up feature, it's not necessarily a new feature, but it's a feature that we're seeing a lot more people utilize, and a feature that if you're not utilizing now, you totally should be. So basically, kind of the background on it is you post on your story and you add a link, right? So if you are under 10,000 followers, your link has to be to an IGTV video, right? So what we're seeing is these links to IGTV videos are a really great way to bring people to your IGTV. But when you have a follower base over 10,000, you're able to add a swipe up to an external link, right? Whether that's your YouTube video, your website, your podcast, your anything.
So let's give him an example. So I also own, my side hustle is The Broke Alchemist.
Yeah.
So right now I think I only have like 60 followers on that account, but as I grow it over time, once I get to that 10,000 mark, I can do a video in the stories, right?
Absolutely.
Say swipe up to get this new makeup bag, right? And you'll see that down at the bottom of the edge, so that way I can create my creative content to appeal directly to the link that I'm going to send people to.
Absolutely. And another great thing there is when I used to do this last year with my YouTube videos. And when I would add a swipe up, I would just throw a 15-second clip of some B-roll from the YouTube video or some funny moment from the YouTube video, and I would use that as my swipe up. But what I found is that that's not personally engaging the people on the other side of that story, the people that are watching it and are going to swipe up. And I would get way less link clicks than if I was actually doing a selfie, filming myself, talking to the camera. And when I'm talking to the camera, I'm saying like, hey, go and check this out, it's really awesome, blah 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 blah. But people see your face and they see you talking to the camera, and it's so much more personal. It creates so much more of a personal connection.
It's authentic.
Absolutely, authentic is such a good word for it. And you'll get way more link clicks. So that's something a little tidbit of information I wanted to throw in there.
So Will, you also wanted to talk about how IGTV videos preview in the feed now.
Yeah, so that is something that's really, really interesting, and this actually happened the beginning of this year, and I saw it, and I was like, whoa, what's going on, right? So previously, last year, IGTV videos were only accessed through that swipe up in your stories with under 10K followers, or they were accessed through a button right above your feed, the little circle button next to your story highlights on Instagram, right? So now what's really cool, and you see a lot of people doing it, one of the greatest ones that I can think of, it would be like Gary Vee and Yes Theory. They post a lot of IGTV videos in their feed. So what it is you post a video up on IGTV, preferably the vertical content, right? And then what happens is you can preview it, the first minute of it, in your Instagram feed. So when you're scrolling through your feed, you will see that IGTV video previewing in your Instagram feed. So what that does is that puts your IGTV video in a whole nother spot. So instead of people having to go and swipe up or click the little button, they're already getting views on your IGTV video, just like a regular video that would have been posted up in your Instagram feed, right? Now, what this does is if, let's say you have a 5-minute long video, it will play the first 60 seconds of that, and then there's a button to keep watching. Now, I know you had some great things to say about the button, right? How that drags, that's like a funnel, you know, almost.
Yeah, so that button will act as a conversion gateway of sorts. So if you have kind of an ask for conversion somewhere in your video, what you can do is kind of funnel out all of your kind of fair weather audience and enable that first minutes to actually create that engaging content with the click the button below to see the rest of the video. And then the rest of the video, you can then have an ask or whatever other exclusive content that you want to provide to your audience.
Absolutely. And then that brings people over to the IGTV platform where they can just swipe right or left and see more of your IGTV videos, which is really sweet. So yeah, that little thing right there, previewing it in your feed, is super crucial. It gets so many more eyes on your IGTV videos, in addition to the swipe up on the stories and in addition to the button on your feed. Though I have found that it really only works with the vertical content. You know, so some of the videos that I've posted on IGTV in the past have been a regular sideways video where you turn your phone sideways. And if I were to preview that in my feed, it would look really off. You know, there would be like a sideways video in the middle of your Instagram feed that doesn't make any sense, and people would be like, what is this? And that would just throw everything off. So it really does have to be that true vertical content for this preview in the feed. But that is something that brings so many more eyes and so many more views to your IGTV videos, which I think is really awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Rob, I know you want to talk about sonic branding. This is something that you've kind of turned me on to because it's awesome, man. So first off, let's explain what sonic branding is and where we kind of see it today.
Definitely. So the worst definition I've seen for sonic branding so far is kind of a jingle, right? But it's actually so much more than that.
Okay.
One way it actually does function as a jingle, right, is that it's this musical tone that people associate with the brand. But how it can be used today is so much more than that.
Okay.
So one tactic that I've really seen it used well is with Gary Vee's content, where he does the flip up little bubble with his signature with the little click up pop thing that he has, right? So what this does is when you put it right before your content, as people scroll through your feed, there's moments where audio is playing on Instagram.
Yeah.
And if you have audio enabled, as you scroll through, you'll hear that little click up plop little sonic branding little piece, right? That enables you to kind of realize, oh, I just missed so-and-so's video. Right?
Yeah.
I want to stop and go back, right? And that's just a quick little tactic people can use to keep people engaged and maybe kind of close the gap on engagement and total reach.
Okay, so this sort of thing with sonic branding, like, this is something that's implemented with brands when you, let's say, watch a TV commercial, right? Like, there are car companies that do this. And I was just watching a commercial last night where there was some kind of, I would call it a jingle, but like you say, it's so much more than that, where it's something like that. How has this evolved into social media?
So one place where I've seen this really take off is with music artists, right?
Okay.
So when someone produces a track, an artist will put in like DJ Khaled in the house and everyone will recognize that.
Okay, so like a tag, yeah.
Exactly. So this is a way for brands to use a tag of sorts within a curated piece of content that doesn't necessarily have to have its own dedicated logo slide.
So going off that, where do we see this going in the future?
So I would say we'll see a lot more of this as we start to see the rollback of our radio show culture now in podcasts. So brands can slide their little tag in through sonic branding when you won't even see their logo, but you'll just know it's Coca-Cola.
Absolutely. Okay, that's really, really cool. That is really awesome. So, sonic branding, everybody. So the kind of last thing I want to talk about is the Instagram aspect ratio. When you're posting something on your feed, there are a bunch of different ways to do it. So you can post your regular square post, which is 1080 by 1080 pixels, and this kind of dives into the back end of it if you're creating or curating in Photoshop or a different software like that. If you're posting on Instagram, it's a 1080 by 1080 square. Now this is a fully square post, and when somebody's scrolling through the feed, they see a square and that's it, and they scroll on to the next square and the next square and the next square and the next square. Now what I see a lot of people doing is they're posting more of a vertical rectangle on Instagram, right? And Instagram allows you to do this. It doesn't allow you to go all the way in the full vertical IGTV format, but it allows you to go like kind of halfway there.
And what does that then enable brands to do with that extra space?
So exactly, right? So when you're scrolling past, instead of just seeing 1080 pixels, you're seeing more. So when you're scrolling past, you are getting just a millisecond more of exposure to all of the people out there that are viewing your content,
would then potentially cast their attention.
It would. So it gives you just half a second longer when your video is automatically playing on Instagram to see the first little second of it. It gives you half a second longer to see that last piece of that photo. That's really going to draw more people to your page.
With the sheer amount of content that's out there,
absolutely,
any advantage counts.
Oh my goodness, yes. So diving into that aspect ratio, it is 1842 by 2304. And so this aspect ratio right there for video specifically is going to give you the highest resolution and highest kind of like screen time, I would say, when somebody's scrolling through your feed on what you can post. So going back on all the stuff that we just talked about, there are ghost tags, sonic branding, swipe up on your stories, Insta aspect ratio, and IGTV preview and feed, right? So these are all again, to recap, these are all really great tactics that we're seeing now, and we think there's going to be a future of here on Instagram and in social media content strategies. So hopefully we see you guys doing all of this stuff here in the future. I would love to see it.
I'm super excited. I can't wait to see what innovative things we can do with these new strategies.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning into the Tricast experience, and we will see you guys later.